Dear, dear Kinderlach, how much I would have wanted to be with you in person. And I thank the Rabbi Shalom for the opportunity of being able to use a camera and videotape to be with you at this very, very special occasion. And I want to give you and your parents, all the mechatonim and siblings, a brocha, that we might yet celebrate all kinds of simchas as we get closer to Yemot HaMashiach. May it happen in our day in a peaceful way. When I think of you being together, I want to give you Birchat Kohanim, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. That there should be shalom bayis among you, that you really love one another, and that the Rabbi Shalom should be with you and in your home. You will be writing a ksubah, and you all know the drash that goes that Ish has a Yud and Isha has a Hey, and as long as there is the Yud and the Hey and Ish and Isha, you are not going to be consumed by the Ish. And there is another drash that goes with that says that in the Ketubah, it's the Ktav Vav Hey. So you have the Vav and the Hey in Ketubah, and Ish and Isha gives the Yud and the Hey, so the whole name of the Rabbi Shalom is together. And I want to bless you that in your whole life, in your home, that the presence of the Rabbi Shalom should be there. And when I look back to our ancestors, and I think of the really illustrious parents and grandparents that we had, coming on one side from the Megale Amukes, Rabbi Nosson Shapira, who was the Rov in Krakow and a great Mekubal, and Rabbi Yossele Krakowitzer, who was the person who led Davening at the Belzer Rebbe. And when I think of the other side of the Mishpacha, where we had Reb Moshe Yagid, who wrote a remarkable sefer for Dayanim on Even HaEzer. So, Kinderlach, you have a great and strong yichus. And as this wonderful story goes, there's yet a yichus going to begin with you and with your children to continue. So I'm asking the Rabbi Shalom to send down beautiful and holy and healthy neshamas to be your children, and so that someday you might pass on this blessing that I'm giving you today. I want this bracha to be such that through all the stormy things of which every marriage is to go through, because it's not easy for two people to learn how to partner each other. You well remember how the Midrash tells the story about Shtei HaMeorot HaGedolit, the two great lights, the sun and the moon. And Rashi tells us that on the sentence, Et HaMaor HaGadol LeMemshelet HaYom Vet HaMaor HaKatan LeMemshelet HaLayla, how come that at first there were both of them great lights, and now one is the bigger and one is the lesser one? And Rashi tells us that God said to the moon that it should make itself smaller because two kings cannot wear one crown. But I want to tell you, Kinderlach, today, in our kind of marriages, it is really necessary for two kings to be able to wear one crown, the king and the queen to be able to share that Keter Elyon. And that can be done when you learn real partnering, not for one to be submissive and the other one to be dominant, but really to learn partnering. Oy, if the world could only learn that partnering, because the real truth is there is only one way to get it together, and that's together. So, I wish you to have a binyan adayat, a wonderful and freiliche chasana. I've given you some instructions in an audio cassette that have to deal with issues of the Badeken and the Minhagim that we have, and the Tnai, Kiddushin, and Nesuin. So right now I just want to concentrate on the broche and wish you this binyan adayat so that you might go through life together and in old age look back at your life. And so my broche brings along the broche of my parents and their ancestors, and also the broches of the people on the other side of the mishpacha. May all these broches be fulfilled in your life, and let us say Amen. And now, kinderlich, the rest of it is not for the public, the rest is really for you. I want to say a couple of things that need to be for you sort of private. You know, from time to time, you'll need to share with each other things. You'll need to update your relationship. A mezuzah has to be looked over twice every 7 years. And the ketubah has to be looked over at least that often. Under what conditions are you going to do your partnering together? Who's going to do what? Who takes which obligations? How do you want to lead your household? It's impossible to set those conditions at the beginning of your life together because things are bound to change. And I want to tell both of you something that I hope that you would be able to remember. I had a mashpia, a teacher, at the yeshiva in Lubavitch years and years ago. And he said to me, you know, could you imagine if a Litvak were to marry a Yemenite? Wouldn't that be like an intermarriage? You know, each one comes from a different milieu. This one comes from Ashkenazim, and this one comes from Edot HaMizrach, and how are the two are going to work this thing out? It's going to be really difficult. They'll have to do a lot of bridging. And we all agreed he was right. Then he said, you know what? Between a male and a female, the intermarriage is even greater. It is so much more that we have to learn to be patient and to understand each other and to be kind to each other in ways often that baffle us. Sometimes the masculine mind can't understand what it means to be a woman and to have periods and to be pregnant and to be nursing. And it'll feel so different when that happens. And the feminine mind sometimes can't understand what it means to be plugged into the world and to have obligations that make it possible for the household to run, and needs that both of you will have for privacy, for a little solitude from each other too, so that when you come together you can be together so much better with each other. So these are the kinds of eitzes that I'm giving you, that from time to time you read the ketubah together, look at those pictures, and talk about the dreams that you've had. When it comes to sorting out things, it's really important that you do Kriyat Shema Shalamita, that you do the evening prayer before you go, the night prayer before you go to sleep, and say Hareini Mochel, and forgive each other. And there may be situations where it's going to be hard to forgive. And you need to talk to each other and tell each other what it is that hurt you, what it is that gave you problems with something. Often these things happen inadvertently. I don't think either of you wants to be mean to each other, so it'll have to be that you talk, give each other signals. It is much better to be redundant, to say something once, twice, a third time, and not to get angry when you say it, and just making sure that the other one has heard it. Sometimes you may want to say, "No, what did you hear in what I said? Would you tell it to me back again?" When you find yourself having to sort something out, don't sit facing each other. Sit together on a couch and look in the other direction. And if you have a shiviti there, look in the direction of the shiviti where God's name is written, so that you can both intend into the same direction. And instead of saying but, keep saying and all the time. You'll see after one of them has said something and the other one will want to say something, don't say no, don't say but, just keep saying and. And this is also true, and this is also true. You'll see that this will help a lot. Another thing I want to tell you, you know that it's been our minhag that the chassan doesn't get a talis until the time of the wedding. The bar mitzvah talis doesn't quite count, it's not the same. What do you do with the talis? Well, the talis often it's good to have it as a chuppah. And on the wedding night, cover yourself, when you have your yichud, cover yourself with the talis above the blanket, so that when you make love, you do it in a sacred way. That you pray for each other, that you pray for the mishpacha, that you pray for the world, and that you pray for children, the children you want to bring down into the world, as part of your lovemaking. That's a really very special and holy thing to do. What else do I want to tell you? When you celebrate Shabbos, have fun, have guests from time to time, but also from time to time, have a very intimate Shabbos, just the two of you. There'll be times when you will have kinderlach. It'll be important to take sometimes a night out and get somebody to babysit with the kinderlach, so that you could just be with each other, because when children come, there seems to be always, they have such great and immediate needs, and that you forget your own bond together, and the children won't have the support that they need if your bond isn't going to be strengthened. So, these are the kinds of things I want to tell you as Eitzah Tova, as good advice. And I do hope that kol zman I'm going to be on this side of Olam Hazeh, that if you would get in touch with me and let me know how you're faring, that this would be really wonderful. And there'll be a time when I'll no longer be on Olam Hazeh. Please, talk to me then too. The likelihood is that I will come and visit you from time to time. I'll want to come and check out how are my Einiklach doing and how are their children doing. And I'd like to see how your life is going. I promise you that I will be praying for you kol zman I'm in this body, and God willing, after 120, I will be praying from the other side for you. So once again, this is my brocha for you. And don't be afraid of each other when sometimes you have to speak loud or even scream at each other. That doesn't create a problem. What creates the greater problem is holding back and not expressing and becoming opaque to each other. Make sure you stay transparent and that you can keep sharing with us. This is my ikar prayer for you, that you have a good dialogue in your married life bis 120 gesunde Jahre. Mazel tov, Kinderlach. Okay.